third video of a meeting. The audio is from a meeting with the Integrity Bureau, October 18th, 2019, with the New Orleans Police Integrity Bureau chiefs or assistant to Arlinda Westbrook, who is under the command of the Chief Sean Ferguson. It is October 18th is a year after our son was ejected through a solid glass hotel window at an Airbnb. It's the day after the Hard Rock Cafe collapsed, and it's we filed a lawsuit against Sonesta and Airbnb the day before the Hard Rock collapsed. Okay, yeah.
In the street. So something happened in that 30 minutes to an hour that's not right. And you're never going to get the story straight at this point.
Well, I want you to put this down in the record, too, that I'm concerned about Nick Gernon.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to get back to that. One moment.
We're not naive to this place, you know. We lived here a long time, and I worked at that building right over there, Charity Hospital, many, many years as a surgeon. So I saw the best and some of the worst of the police, frankly. I saw some of that. And I know they're human beings who made of flesh and blood. And a lot of things go on outside of your sight. But, you know, you never want your son to die. You don't want to get that fateful call. But you want to investigate it properly. That's all we're asking for here. Because this is wrong.
Okay, I'll try to be brief.
Take it.
We met with him for the first time in January the 25th
Of
2019.
This year. Okay.
Right, so like 9 months after, I guess.
19. Mm-hmm.
He told us he knew nothing about it. And this is the first he's ever heard of it.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's BS. I'm saying it's BS because he's the commander of the 8th District. They know everything about everything that's going on. And I know that he knows about hotel stuff. Mm-hmm. 10 days after Seth died, he's in Aspen speaking at a conference about hotel security and how to create your own, as hotel management people, how to create your evacuation emergency responding plan. He knew what happened here. I know that the movers and shakers in the French Quarter are, that they
have a vested
interest in making sure the police
don't have crime reported. We know that.
So we met with him. He didn't know anything about it. He says, I'm a homicide detective. I'm going to take over this case. I'm going to give it every bit. He recorded our 3-hour conversation. And then a week later, he says he's going to give it back to Marshal Scallan, who we had said we don't want him to touch this anymore. We want him removed. I want it done. Well, that Marshal Scallan hadn't even created yet his secondary report. So Nick Gernon is communicating for Scallan and saying we're going to have him finish his report. And then we'll see who we can assign it to lay fresh eyes on the case. Well, we get through Mardi Gras, whatever, and Nick Gernon has been moved now to the evidence room.
Yes.
Where the only thing that we have is a little bit of evidence. They didn't take, under his command, they took no fingerprints, they took no samples of glass, they took no blood samples, they took no cell phones, they took no witness statements. The only thing we have is Seth's phone, which, we really don't have. We provided it to them after they didn't take it as evidence. And we have security video. Scallan, the only thing I know about security video is 2 things. That Scallan says in the building it was very poor quality. That at the time we met with him in November, he didn't know yet when Seth or the rest of them even entered the building. They're just going on her statement that they came in at 5 and Seth's out the window by 5:45. So the only thing that we have was that video from across the street, and it wasn't even named or mentioned in the secondary report. So now that gurney is over the evidence room. I just want that in the record that I'm concerned.
Yes, ma'am. Who did you turn that video into?
I didn't have it.
They got the video.
Scallan had it.
Scallan had it.
They went around looking for all the cameras.
Correct.
And with police that we didn't have. We have
That's
no.
the full case file?
Yes.
Okay. I need the reports.
And then you can add this little bit. This is what happened. I know that this is handwritten, but this is all Cassidy's 7 different stories.
I'm going to make a copy of it. I don't want to keep it. I just want to, and the reason I'm saying that is because so we here at PIB we don't deal with reports and that type stuff. But I am going to make a copy, and I do want to, so that way you can keep your original.
Sure.
Well,
Arlen Barnes has it anyway, and this is just it's drawn because I had to draw the room. I mean,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
can't imagine what.
You know, the other interesting thing in all this is
Okay. And do you have? I would like to see the original RTF in the case file. Is it before this? Yes. Just give me to the original and then the supplemental. Go ahead, sir.
the other thing interesting in this is, I mean, I'm really slow to. I just emotionally, I'm still a wreck. So if we get into math, I'm a science guy. My son is a better science guy. Physics, they're saying that he ran and jumped out that window. That's how he landed. The way the physics works is there's no way that could have happened. So Amy pulls up she looks at the pictures, we do some estimates on how far he landed away from this building's edge. And the way the physics works is like that edge, if I were to run and jump through that, there's no way I can land as far from the building as Seth landed. It's just mathematical. If I was sitting on that ledge, this man ran and pushed me, I would go.
Okay. Thank you.
Exponentially far.
I would be launched about as far as where Seth landed. Now, that's not going to come to a detective's mind, but it comes to people who understand just simple physics. This is Newton physics stuff. You cannot jump and land as far away from the building as we estimate Seth landed. I doubt they even measured all this stuff. But from the pictures, you can guess the size of the couch and project to the size of the squares. And you can take those squares and you can say, well, it's this far and it's this angle. If you watch that interview, if you watch those body cams, these girls say, well, he ran and jumped. Well, if he ran and jumped from there, how did he wind up?
Well, if he ran and jumped, he would be forward, facing away from the building at some point. But instead, he's facing.
Let me finish my thought here. And then they said, well, he didn't jump from this side. Well, he jumped from this side over here. So we've got this confabulation going on in the very narrative of the story of what happened. Anyways, you can't jump through that high of a window and go that far unless but if you're sitting on a couch, there's a couch in front of the window
With like a windowsill sized seat.
So you get your whole bum up there, you know. The guy you're fighting with is pissed, and he could just come and run and push. You are launched. It doesn't make inherent sense, but if you do the math to it, it makes perfect sense. And I sent that. Of course, we sent all the stuff in. We never hear anything back. So you never know what it means to these guys. I think I sent it to. I don't even know who I sent it to.
Well, Arlen Barnes has it too. I'm like, well, just
Do
the math.
It's simple math. It's just Newton physics. It's this plus this plus no calculus, no nothing. It's just simple math. So this is us looking at this, going, what the police are telling us does not make sense. So we're trying to solve the crime of a lifetime for us. And I think this, I'm more of a reflector on this kind of thing. She's an investigator. What I think happened on that moment, I think the state police took whatever story these two confabulated together. A homicide guy would walk up, they look around, think, well, we got another dead white guy through the window. Moving on.
Another. Well, the coroner told us he sees it all the time. He knows it when he sees it. He doesn't need a police report to determine suicide.
Coroner, I'm a physician. I'm a surgeon. This is what I do. And the coroner, I know he's an elected official. He answers to nobody. He hadn't practiced medicine in 20 years. I also know that all he can say is, this man died of impact injuries. And he had these drugs in him. We know he had drugs in him. We're not children here. But for that moment, LSD doesn't make you doesn't make you crazy. Cocaine.
That's Seth 2 hours earlier, given to me by Fahad Khan. Let's see if it's a video. It's not a video.
It doesn't.
It is a video. It's like, I think
that's
the
a screenshot.
of
But I mean, do you care to?
Is the next one the video?
Let's see.
The one that you have right next to
Yeah,
it?
I know.
Okay.
So-
Is that the actual video? Or no?
We can get it to you.
Okay.
So all that coroner could say is he can say this man died of impact injuries and he had these drugs in him. He cannot make a determination of suicide. And we've had this coroner, he just can't. It's something you put together as a puzzle. And you can't just say jump from a ledge and look at the impact wounds and say, you know what, he died of suicide.
How about we do this?
We've had people, other coroners, look at this coroner's report and calling it woefully inadequate. But the coroner's a coroner. He doesn't act to anybody, answer anybody but the public. And I'm certain you guys have had your issues with him in the past, and I'll ask you not to respond to that. I know you have.
Well, first,
So it just created this narrative. This is another dead white guy out the window. Nothing to see here. Let's move on. And I think that's as racist as anything else. And once the narrative's set, and now Scallan's going to go back and he's going to say, no, I never said that to those guys. I never said this or that. Well, how do we know these people's names? How do we know this? We
don't know what he's going to do.
Well, I guarantee these guys are going to cover for themselves because that's what people do. I mean, you're never going to get this thing straight.
Plus, they hid the police report. I mean, we went to, or I don't know where they hid it, but we went to 3 different, we went to the Thomas-Picayune, went to the Advocate, went to the Lens, and nobody could find a police report, even up through December. So they wouldn't report because
I think
there's nothing to.
got bullied into that spot, and that he is just now trying to keep the narrative going.
Yeah. And remember, we're talking about the initial report, ma'am. Right now, what we're referencing when you say you can find the report, you're talking about the first report.
I'm telling you what reporters told me. I don't know. I mean, they told me that they cannot. There is no incident report.
They couldn't find it. The reason this didn't make the news is because it was a suicide.
No, that's not what they said.
That's what I heard him say. So this doesn't get published. So you guys don't report this as a death or anything, but it's rather, so it kind of stays hidden.
Katie Moore said that everything, including unclassified, suicide, anything, should have been filed in the in each night's
That is correct.
incidents,
The use of
and it was never found.
Do we have that?
In the communication. So what are you asking for, Commander?
I'm looking for the incident recall for that night, October 28th, 2018. Is that in case
I think I might have seen.
Thank you.
I mean, so the guy, what I have here is a video that Fahad Khan, they went back in, that's on the complaint, is that these characters went back into the room with, I think, Gabrielle Lewis, because it's a female. She's the one who interviewed him. Fahad was interviewed at 9 o'clock. He pled the 5th. Cassidy was interviewed at 9:20. At 9:35, they took him back to the Saratoga. And the 3 of them, which I guess is Gabrielle, I can only hear a woman's voice on the video. Fahad is taking video of the broken glass window, 36 seconds long, the couch, all around, outside onto the street of a big blood spot. And he sent it to me 24 hours after this. So that's something I would have expected the investigation to cover, not the fact that Fahad Khan and Cassidy Carter were there.
The whole thing is so interesting. I mean, so Theo Kent, who goes back and investigates this, who says, I'll call you every week and give you updates. I said, well, please just call my wife. He called maybe
Once in 5 months.
okay, and he didn't even go back, and this kid, James, he never even went back going over the thing and going over the case and talked to him. And he never even watched the WWL, which is just a very interesting how they put the whole story together. He never watched that.
So why wouldn't you be looking for all the evidence you could find?
This is Seth.
Yes, ma'am.
At 10:30 that night at work when he texted me.
So, I mean,
That's not Seth in the picture.
Yeah.
So okay, so this is
Seth is on the right.
I'm sorry, yes, Seth. Oh, I'm
Seth
sorry.
is
I'm
on the
sorry. I'm
right.
thinking
The other
and-
guy. That's just a friend.
Okay, all right.
So-
I'm sorry. I heard you say Seth. I'm thinking Fahad. I was like, that's an older guy. I thought this
Yeah,
was a
no,
young
no, that's Seth.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
At work at
Yes,
10:30.
ma'am. I understand. I
Before
got you.
he met up with him. I got
Yes,
into
ma'am.
Seth's Gmail account in the first 5 or 6 days.
Yes.
And I can track all of Seth's activity through the night. And there is been shared with Scallan, been shared with Kent, been shared with everybody. You can see that Seth left work on a blue bike he rented that showed up in his Gmail at midnight. He went to his apartment on his blue bike listening to Audible, businesses of the 21st century.
so
He
you're thinking about
picked up
tomorrow,
his
not thinking about it.
he picked up his neighbor's dog and walked the dog. He Snapchatted. He bumbled. Whatever. That's a tender
Girls
kind
is girls.
of. It's a tender.
Okay.
Bumble is where the girls reach out.
Oh.
And my theory is that Cassidy reached out on Bumble, but Scallan or Nick Gernon, when he knew nothing about this, was very quick to tell me that Bumble can't be subpoenaed because it comes out of China. But so he knew something, but he told us, we can't find that
I
evidence.
did want to touch on something really quick, ma'am. I know earlier, and I just want to make sure I made my notation correctly. You said that Miss